Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, really glad you joined us. Hope you like what you hear. So today's episode, we're going to teach you how to engage with ideas you disagree with without going crazy, without losing your mind, without destroying friendships or relationships. It's an important skill. It seems to be in short supply in our world today, and we want to encourage as many people as we can to be open-minded, engage with other people's ideas. You don't need to agree with them. You don't need to endorse them. We're just saying learn to have conversations with people that you see things differently than. We're going to give you not only some tips and tricks on how to do that, but some ways to think so that it will help you process these ideas realistically. And maybe they will change your mind, maybe they won't, but you need to engage with people regularly who see things differently than you if you want to be a critical thinker, if you want to broaden your horizons, if you want to increase your intellect. It's terribly important. So let's just jump into the episode from there. Most people think they're open-minded. They love to say they're open-minded. They're so welcoming and they're so accommodating and they're so benevolent right up until they hear a take that goes against their identity, or they view it goes against their identity, is opposite of their politics, is different than the way they parent their kids, is different than the way they manage their money, is different than the way they practice their religion, or it just hits their ego. And then all of a sudden, it's not a conversation anymore, it's a courtroom, and we're judging that person's different than me and my way is right, and here's all the reasons why, and I'm going to discount everything they have to say. We're not doing that anymore, okay? We're going to get past that. Today, we're building the skill to listen to ideas that you disagree with without judgment, without prejudice, without emotion, and without even pretending you agree. We're not endorsing. We're not saying you agree with it. We're not saying you just say, oh, yeah, you're right. We're not saying that's awesome. Nope, not what we're talking about. You can engage with the ideas and you can listen to and to process the information without agreeing with it, without endorsing it. But you don't need to blow up friendships and blow up relationships simply because you see something different on a subject that's near and dear to your heart. So why is it important to do this? Why should we do this? Why can't we just say, F those people that think differently than me? I don't care about them. I don't want them in my life. What if it's your parent? What if it's your sibling? What if it's your spouse? What if it's your child? What if it's a close friend that you've had for 30 years and you know what a good person they are? You want to maintain those relationships. It's not always easy, and we're going to talk about that. Why does it matter and why it's hard? First, you can't think clearly if you only consume agreement. You're in an echo chamber. You're not growing. You're not looking at all of the facts. You're missing a lot of information. If you only listen to what you already believe, you're not going to grow. You're just going to reinforce your thought process. Maybe your thought process is spot on. Maybe it's 100% off. You could be in both scenarios and be reinforcing both of those without even knowing it when you just stay in your own little bubble. It's one of the core drivers of motivated reasoning. We unconsciously look for reasons or evidence or circumstances to reach the conclusion we already got or we want. It's called confirmation bias. Happens to everybody, happens to me, it happens to you. If you're a human being, it happens to you. And we have to recognize it if we're going to get better at fighting against it and trying to become better critical thinkers. Number two, your emotion hijacks your accuracy. I saw this when I umpired baseball. So I umpired kids' baseball games, high school and under. And parents don't actually see what happens when their kid is involved. They see what they want to see. A player that's clearly out and you call him out. Someone says, he was safe, he got under the tag, he beat the tag. Everyone in the park except that guy's parent saw it that way. But that's really what they saw. So emotion hijacks your accuracy. When your nervous system is activated, your brain's goal shifts from truth to safety and winning. One proven technique to fight against this is called affect labeling, literally naming what you're feeling. That is shown to reduce your emotional reactivity and dampen the response from your amygdala, which is where your emotional reaction comes from. We want to hijack and stop the amygdala from making us react, push those thoughts to our prefrontal cortex so we can think about them rationally and logically. Next, humility is a performance advantage. It's not a personality trait. So people with a higher intellectual humility are more willing to expose themselves to opposing views and learn during disagreement. It's trainable. You can learn to do it. I do it all the time on this podcast. I have people on that talk about all sorts of things. If you think I agree with every single thing that every single person has said on this podcast, you're whistling Dixie. It's just not true. But the point is not to bring people on and argue. The point is not to bring people on and try to prove them wrong. The point is not to bring people on and try to fact check them. I want to understand how they think, what experiences have led them to think the way that they think, and why they came to the conclusions that they did. Because I feel like if I understand what motivates me or what motivates other people to think the way they think, then I have a better chance of working with them to both learn from them so I can think better and educate them so they can think better. That's the whole point of it for me. But you have to be humble. You have to just listen. You don't have to react. You don't have to agree. You don't have to disagree. You can just listen. It's trainable. You can learn to do it, and we're going to talk about it a little later. Next, open-mindedness is not agreeing. It's testing fairly. Just by listening to someone, I hate the term, they're platforming him. You're platforming him. Whatever. The way to defeat a bad argument is with a better argument. It's not to silence them. That is censorship. It is wrong. Now, if someone is talking about harming children, got it. We're going to disagree with that all day long. If someone is clearly misogynistic or anti-Semitic, fine. Telling a joke that's derogatory towards women is not misogynistic. It's a joke. Learn to take a joke. If there's a joke that's based on someone's ethnicity, right? I'm Irish, and the joke that's about the Irish, usually where there's 4 Irishmen, there's a fifth. Right? A fifth of alcohol because Irish people drink a lot. I think that's funny. It's not racist. I don't get butthurt over it. I don't get mad when the little leprechaun at Notre Dame that's got an orange beard painted on his face and is 4 feet tall runs out and does push-ups when they score touchdowns because they're called the Fighting Irish. Doesn't bother me a bit. Learn to take a joke. Not everything is terrible and racist and misogynistic. Some things are just jokes. You got to learn to tell the difference. We've gotten to the point where we label anything that's got even a patina of slant towards any particular group like it's the worst thing in the world. Take a joke, people. The world's a better place when we're all laughing. But open-mindedness is not agreeing, it's testing fairly. Actively open-minded thinking is basically the disposition to consider alternative views, notice disconfirming evidence that runs counter to what we think, but it looks true, and delay closure. It predicts better reasoning and fewer thinking traps if we're able to actively open-minded think. That's what we're trying to get to, okay? The key here to do this is a mindset shift. Listening to someone talk about ideas you disagree with is not endorsing those ideas. They're not the same thing. You can understand an argument without accepting it, and that's what we're encouraging you to do. Your job is to evaluate it fairly, like a good judge, not cheer for it like a fan. And we see way too much of that in all sorts of areas: politics, religion, men versus women, all this other stuff. You have to pick a side. No, you don't. You do not have to pick a side. It's better not to pick a side, because at some point the people on your side are going to say something you fundamentally disagree with. Now you've boxed yourself in and tied your identity to it, and you're going to look for things that confirm what they're telling you instead of looking for the truth. And we want to avoid that so we can be good critical thinkers. So here's our framework for you to use to accomplish this. We call it the P.L.A.Y defense. You can use this anytime you disagree. P.L.A.Y is an acronym. The P is for pause. We talk about the pause a lot. It is the best thing a critical thinker can do is nothing. Just do nothing for a little bit. Before you respond, take some deep breaths. This has 1 or 2 on our notes. Maybe it's 5 deep breaths. It doesn't matter. Just say, I'm thinking. Let me process this. People will let you think. They'll let you sit and think. Ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be accurate? Sometimes you have to choose. I say successful a lot of times. You want to be right or do you want to be successful? I would argue, unless it's ethical or moral, you always want to be successful. And ethical and moral, like whose ethics and whose morals? Yours? Mine? Like whose filter are we looking through? Not everybody has the same ethics and morals. And you may think one thing is just fine, and I may think you're a dirtbag for doing it. You may think, I may think something's fine, and you may think I'm a dirtbag for doing it. So whose ethics? Whose morals? Do you want to be right or do you want to be accurate when you're assessing information? Very important in my mind to be accurate. Accuracy motivation reduces biased reasoning. If you think I want to be accurate, it'll open your mind and you'll be able to listen fairly to the arguments that are being made. Okay, so that's the P, pause. L is label. Label it. Name the emotion. Don't become it, but acknowledge it out loud. Say it out loud. Say to yourself, I'm feeling defensive. I'm feeling irritated. I'm feeling threatened. I'm feeling dismissed. Whatever it is, say it out loud so you recognize that it's the emotion that's driving your thought process and not the facts or the argument. This is affect labeling, and it helps shut down the hijack with your amygdala taking over and pushing the thoughts back to your prefrontal cortex for processing. A is ask. Ask curious questions that force clarity, not gotcha questions, not questions that make someone look bad, not questions that blow up their argument. But here's 3 questions. We'll give them to you. What do you mean by that? Explain that. Talk more about that. Define it for me. What would you count as evidence against your view? Like, ask them that. See if they have evidence. Maybe if they're a good critical thinker, they should be able to respond to that. And 3, what's the strongest version of your argument? Give me your best shot. Tell me all the reasons why you feel so strongly about this. Those are 3 good questions that allow you to get more information from the person without judging them, without acknowledging that you agree or disagree. You're just gathering information at this point, okay? And then Y is yield. Summarize their view better than they did. So let me see if I've got you right, and then summarize their argument back to them. They should say, yes, that's it. You've got it. Yes, that's right. That's the response you're looking for, because it means you not only heard what they said, but processed it and then regurgitated it in a way that conveyed to them you understood their points. You understood what they said. That will go a long way because it's going to make them know that you are listening to them, not just talking with or at them. Terribly important. And if they don't tell you, yes, that's right, or you've got it, then you don't. You're arguing something different, and you've got to recalibrate and go back and get on point with what they're trying to tell you, okay? So play, pause, label, ask, yield, all right? Run that playbook, and that will help you process ideas, especially ones you disagree with, and push your emotions to the side and try to process them logically and with your prefrontal cortex with reason and logic, all right? So here's some tools to process ideas rationally and fairly once we've done the play technique. When you hear a take you hate, write down 2 quick columns. There's possible truths. Or is there truth in it? Why it threatens me? Why do you feel like it's a bad thing for you? Does it threaten your status? Does it chip away at your identity? Is it a different tribe than the one that you belong in? Does it make you feel guilty? Does it make you feel scared? What is the emotion that it elicits when you hear that argument? The columns force you to separate evaluation from ego protection. That's what you're trying to do. Possible truth. What are the real facts that could support this argument? And then why is it that I feel an emotional response that is threatening to me in some way? The core problem in motivating reasoning is separating those 2 things. Got to separate your emotions and your identity from the facts. And a lot of people really struggle with this these days, it looks like. Okay? Now, tool number 2 is the 1% rule. Even if you think the idea is 99% wrong, hunt for the 1% that could be useful. I use this in economic arguments. There is massive amounts of data that show that capitalism is by far the best economic system that has ever existed on the face of the earth. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. That means it's not 100% right. And that means I need to be open-minded to people who talk about communism and socialism and the other things. I totally disagree with them. I think they're wrong. I think they fail over and over again. However, I'm open to arguments that tell me why it's going to be different this time, what you're going to do differently this time, show me an instance where it's worked. I'm wide open to those conversations. I have a ton of data and statistics to show why I think capitalism is by far the best economic system, but I'm open to other people's too. So even if you think it's 1% wrong, you have to leave your mind open to that. That 1% could be useful. Look for evidence where that 1% exists, all right? Tool 3 is confidence calibration. Force a number into your mind. How confident am I that I'm right about this? Am I 60% confident? Am I 90% confident? What would move me 10 points? Ask yourself that. If you're 70% confident, what would move you to 80% confident? What would move you to 60% confident? What information or facts or data could change your perspective on that idea? This trains thinking, right? This trains your open-minded thinking, active open thinking, postponing closure and updating your beliefs based on evidence, not emotion, not feelings, evidence. Okay. And then tool number 4, separate the claim, the evidence, and the values. Most arguments tangle those all together. The claim, what they say is true, the evidence, why they think it's true, the evidence that shows that it's true, and the values that they care about. You can agree on values and still disagree on claims, or vice versa. Untangle it. This would go a long way to solving our problems up in Minnesota, by the way. People are clinging to identities instead of looking at all of the facts. More than one thing can be true at the same time. We could all want to deport people who are in the country illegally and agree that what's going on up there is terrible. It does not look good. So more than one thing can be true at the same time. It doesn't have to be a binary decision. In fact, in most instances, it's not binary. It's shades of gray, and we have to be open-minded. In order to do that, a good way to do it is to separate the claim, the evidence, and the values we associate with that particular topic. All right? Tool number 5 is a double crux. Find the real hinge. Ask yourself, what's the one belief that, if changed, would change your conclusion? Then share yours. So you ask them, what's the one belief that if it changed would change your conclusion? And then you share yours. Now you're debating the actual pivotal point, not trading speeches and talking at each other, right? So what would change your mind? Ask your collaborator in the conversation. It's not an adversarial conversation. You're just two people having a conversation. Ask them, what would change your point of view? And then share what would change your point of view. Now you're talking about the topic itself and the key point of the topic. So that's a good framework by which you can filter through ideas that you don't necessarily agree with, but you want to be open-minded and listen to. And even if you don't want to listen to them, you should do it anyways. It's a good exercise in critical thinking. Now, what do we do if we find ourselves in a situation where we've gone through this whole thing and we still fundamentally disagree with what's being said? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here's some things you can say that will allow you to bring this in for a soft landing and not blow the whole thing up. Number 1, I'm not agreeing yet. I'm making sure I understand. I'm not endorsing. I'm not saying I agree with you, but I'm trying to understand your argument. I want to hear what you have to say. That's open. That's not confrontational. You're not judging the other person. Simply saying, I don't agree with you, but I'm trying to understand. Number 2, let's define our terms so we're not arguing shadows. What does this word mean when you say it? When I say it or hear it, this is what I think it means. What does it mean to you? Make sure you're talking about the same thing so you're not, going way past each other and not hearing what each other has to say. What would change your mind? I'll answer that too, like we just talked about. Ask your partner, what would change your mind on this subject? I'll tell you what would change my mind too, right? That's a good way to do it. I feel myself getting reactive. Give me a minute. I want this to be productive. Just put a pause on it. You label it. I'm feeling emotional. I don't want this to turn into an emotional argument. Give me a second to collect my thoughts. That's a great way to go. Take it down, take the temperature down, take it down a notch, and just continue the conversation. Here's what I think you're saying. Tell me where I'm wrong. And then recap it honestly. Don't turn it and, so you're saying that you think all Mexicans are criminals. No, that's not what people are saying. Right? So you don't want to go down that road. You're saying that you don't care about children being shot because of guns. No, that's not what they're saying. Right? So don't go down that road. Recap in real terms what they're trying to tell you so that they know you're listening to them. Okay? We're going to give you a 7-day practice challenge here for 1 week. Choose one topic you disagree with. Low stakes at first. Don't jump right to crazy emotional stuff. Like abortion or immigration is really a hot button at this point. Don't get into that stuff. You're going to practice this. You want to start small and work your way up. It's the same thing we coach in sports. You don't go out trying to hit home runs. You start hitting the ball off the tee, and then you start hitting soft toss. Then you go to the batting cage, and you work your way up to live hitting in a game. And that's a good way to do it. That's also a good way to do it when we're talking about how we retrain our brains. We want to move in small increments, right? One topic we disagree with. We're going to listen for or read for 10 minutes with no rebuttal the opposite side of the point that we picked. And then we're going to write their best argument. We're going to argue for the thing we disagree with. It's called a steel man, which I didn't know until a couple of weeks ago when my wife told me about it. But the steel man is the opposite of the straw man. The straw man is, I'm going to bring up some other topic and drag you over here to fight about this so that we don't stay on the point that we're trying to talk about. Steel man's the opposite. You're going to give all of the best reasons and evidence to support the point you disagree with so that you can think through it logically. Then you're going to write your strongest objection to the point you just made. So you're essentially debating this in your head with yourself. And then you're going to write down one point that you can concede. What's one thing that, hey, the argument's valid in this particular context? What's one thing that argument really is true about? You might disagree with the overall argument. There are points to it that have some validity. What are they? Right? And then you're going to end with, what's my updated confidence level? 0 to 100%. What is it? Did it move? Did I change my mind? Did I think about it differently? Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Maybe it went up, maybe it went down. I don't know, but it's a good exercise to teach yourself to think critically. And that's what we're trying to do. Active, open-minded thinking. That's what we want to accomplish. It's going to make us more intelligent. It's going to make us more informed. It's going to maintain relationships. It's going to give us much better basis on which to live our lives than defending our positions and being closed-minded about everything. So remember, you're training the muscle of fair-minded evaluation. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. We're not going to surrender our standards or our beliefs, but we're going to be open to ideas that we disagree with so we can become better critical thinkers. Because when we're better critical thinkers, we're better problem solvers, we're better in our professional lives, we're better in our personal lives. It's where we want to be. So let's all agree to work on this. Let's get better at open-minded thinking. Let's engage with people who see things differently than us. And let's do that in a way that's collaborative and not adversarial. Okay. That's my challenge to you guys. So, James puts it up over here every day. Head over to our website, saltygingertalk.com. All of our podcast episodes are available there. Links to our social media accounts are available there. We publish a newsletter every weekday you can subscribe to on our website. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to our website on whatever platform you consume it on. Super helpful for us. We interview people who share what they've learned in life and share their lessons with you so you can build a life of meaning and purpose. We do episodes like this that not only cover a topic, but give you real actionable items to incorporate these things into your life so you can make your life better. You can build the life you want. You can improve your relationships. You can go after something that means something to you. It's all good stuff. It's going to help you get to where you want to be in life. So you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you catch our next episode. We'll see you there.